Hey everybody, welcome back to Spike and Company. Today I'm sitting down here on the beach on Highway 90 in Pass Christian, Mississippi, almost directly across from what was one of the coolest attractions on the Mississippi Gulf Coast years ago. I say attractions, but it was privately owned. They were locally known as the Japanese Gardens, but I think the official name was the Middlegate Japanese Gardens. They were designed and built by Mr. and Mrs. Rudolph Hecht of New Orleans, Louisiana. They were something to see at the time. I'm going to try to get some video and some pictures of it as it is today. There's a couple of houses being built on that property right now, I think. I don't really have permission to go in there and look up close, and I'm going to get what pictures that I can from the road. My neighbor Tommy's somewhat of a local historian, and he grew up right here in the past, and I'm going to get him to explain a little bit later some of the history behind it and what he knows about it, and we're going to get some aerial shots and stuff. But it was at one time a beautiful, beautiful place.
The Middlegate Japanese Gardens of Pass Christian, Mississippi were established by Mr. and Mrs. Rudolph Hecht, although it should be said that the original idea for the gardens belonged to Mrs. Hecht's mother, but it was Mrs. Hecht and her husband that brought the idea to fruition, if you will. The Hechts were passionate about creating an authentic Japanese garden experience in the heart of Mississippi, and they meticulously planned and designed the gardens to reflect the principles of traditional Japanese garden design. With their dedication and attention to detail, the Hechts transformed the gardens into a beloved attraction for locals and tourists alike. The landscapes were meticulously manicured, featuring traditional Japanese architecture and a diverse array of native and exotic plants. Visitors could enjoy a leisurely stroll among the paths, cross picturesque bridges, and admire the serene koi ponds. The gardens also included a tea house where visitors could partake in the art of Japanese tea ceremonies. For many years, the Middlegate Japanese Gardens provided a unique cultural experience, allowing visitors to immerse themselves in the rich traditions and aesthetics of Japanese gardening. They served as a peaceful oasis where people could find solace and connect with nature. Although the gardens are no longer in operation, their legacy lives on in the hearts and memories of those who had the opportunity to experience their beauty and tranquility under the care of Mr. and Mrs. Rudolph Hecht.
Well, I grew up at 328 St. Louis. I was born in '55, so up until Camille hit in 1969, we rode our bikes up and down St. Louis Street, and the Japanese Gardens was a popular spot with us. We went in many times growing up. Had a large swimming pool that we used to go into, but what we were really drawn to was the elaborate gate that was on St. Louis. Yeah, been in there many times, maybe hundreds of times maybe. But there was a groundskeeper that would run us off when we would get in there. But it had a nice swimming pool, statues. It was just stuff that we just found fascinating as kids. Well, I mean, I would have to say the swimming pool. Again, it was a large, almost, I guess, to me, it seemed like an Olympic-sized pool, but I guess because we were kids, And then there was a large statue, that we were fascinated with too, that we'd climb on and stuff.
Did you ever climb on that Buddha statue?
Many times, and I found out recently that it wasn't a Buddha statue. It was it's a female goddess. I can't remember the name right offhand, but. We always figured it was a Buddha statue, but we were wrong all those years. It was a popular spot. Field trips for kids, garden club, other clubs, JCs. Everybody had events in it, so it was a real popular, active place on our street. You couldn't see the place from the street, except from the St. Louis gate. You could see it, but on the sides you could not see it. The bamboo was all around it, and elaborate plants were around it that concealed from the outside, but once you got in it, you could see everything perfect. The Hecht Mr. and Mrs. Hecht, they lived in a big house that faced 520 West Scenic Drive on Highway 90, And the gardens were located to the north, between Highway 90 and St. Louis.
I guess a bunch of you by now are wondering, well, what happened to the place? Why did it fall into such a state of destruction? Well, the answer is simple. It's Mother Nature. We live right here on the coast, and it's only a block right up there. It's right there where you can see that big greenhouse they're building there. The property runs from there all the way back to the next street back there.
In '69, Camille did just severe damage to the property. They brought some of it back, and but it just never was the same. And then when Katrina hit in 2005, that was the final nail. It basically destroyed everything, including the statue.
There was a bronze Buddha statue that was almost completely destroyed. It was in pieces, and the people that owned it sold it to some people in California. They shipped it out there and had it restored, and got it in a Japanese gardens out there. I don't really know the name of it, but thank goodness that was saved. But that's what happened to it. There's those storms here, and they come in. This Katrina, everything for one block was almost flattened, except for Scenic Drive in the pass, and it's a little bit higher there. Those houses are up on higher ground, and they didn't have quite as much damage. But when you live on the coast like this, you're going to deal with the storms. It's just a fact of life, and it's a shame because there's so many historical buildings and places that have been lost to hurricanes. But that's the way it is. When I first thought about doing this project, I wanted to do a video on the ruins here because I just thought that was so interesting ever since Tommy told me about it. But when I came over here and started filming and looking on the computer and realized how much of it is left, it became more about, I guess, the man and the woman that built it, their dedication to building something that they thought was so beautiful. And I'm with them. I love Japanese gardens, but I got here and I realized how much of it is really left. I guess I started thinking more about them and how much they put into it, and now it's all gone. 100 years ago, and now it's all gone. But they lived in New Orleans. I think this was like a second home farm or whatever, but when they passed away, they buried right up the street here, and we're going to go over there now and see if we can find that grave. So let's go. And here we are. Took me a little while to find it. I got on Find the Grave, and I found the grave, Mr. Rudolph Heck,
Plot 118, and his wife is right beside him. He died in 1956. She died in 1961. Just a few blocks, they're buried just a few blocks down from where the Japanese gardens were. And those small, unassuming markers for, I don't know, two people that left such a mark on the coast. I wish I could have seen those gardens when they're in all their glory. Said my neighbor Tommy did. He was lucky enough to grow up right here and grow up in that right close to the gardens. In fact, that tree right over there, right there, that's where Tommy's house was when he grew up. And now one of my best friends is buried right at the corner of where Tommy's house sat. I hope you enjoyed this little look at what's left of the Japanese gardens and the history behind it here in Pass Christian, Mississippi. And if you like it, give us a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. Let's grow this channel so I can do more of these. The more encouragement I get, the more I'm going to do. Thank y'all for coming along, and we'll catch y'all on the next one.